I'd like to welcome you all to Myland Community Church. Today's a little bit different. As you can see, a couple of us are quite well dressed in khaki, which is the in colour at the moment. So, just getting ready for summer. No, what it is, we all took part, as you know, in a pretty life-changing experience, which. We kind of went overseas to change other people's lives, and I think our lives were changed. And this morning we're just going to take you on that journey to show you how we got there, what we did, and our experiences. So yeah, sit back, relax, enjoy, and we're just going to start off with a song now.
Today is primarily a celebration, really, of what has been achieved by this little community in another little community right around the other side of the world. And thank you very much for all the visitors that are here and family and friends. It's great to be able to celebrate what has been achieved. Now, I'm just going to kick off for a few minutes just to set the scene of what this was all about. But there's a whole team of people, as you can see in the khaki shirts, that will be involved today. And you'll hear some stories, you'll see plenty of pics, some videos, a bit of laughter, hopefully, and you might need some tissues handy as well, because it's a pretty amazing experience. First things first, the whole idea of what were we doing, what were we thinking when it came to this whole fly and build thing. And it all first kicked off, and it certainly wasn't any grand plan, because there was two very different ideas bouncing around in people's minds. There was a group of guys going, you know how the women go off and do women's ministries programs? They look pretty cool. We should do a blokey thing, you know, like paintballing, go-karting, you know, rock climbing, selfish stuff like that. We thought that would be pretty cool to go and do something like that. And then you had Daniel, our last pastor, going, wouldn't it be great to take the guys away and do a really blokey thing together of service, which is a little bit different to paintballing, so I found out. But somewhere along the way, the idea was like, why don't we go away and do a weekend of service? And then it turned into, why don't we go overseas and do some service? And then it turned into, why don't we go to Nepal for 2 weeks? And somewhere along the way, no one said no, which ended up meaning that implicitly it was a yes. And I think for Daniel, he was looking for about half a dozen to maybe 10. I think 10 for him was tops. Wouldn't it be great if we could get 10 people from Myland to go away together and do this thing? And it ended up being 15 of us heading off altogether. And so that probably answers the first question of why did we actually do it. There was no real grand plan, except thankfully someone was able to direct a bunch of guys at Myland to think beyond themselves. And we're glad for his leadership for doing that. The second part is why Nepal? And once you understand Nepal, it makes perfect sense, but there are a couple of things you do need to get with that picture. And that is, it's a classic rich and poor divide. This world is split up between those people that have heaps and those that have very little. They have the leftovers if they're lucky. And if we just go to the next slide, the richest nation per person, and this is per living person, so this is child, elderly, you name it, is a little place called Liechtenstein, where they earn on average $141,000 US per annum per person, which is doing pretty well in Liechtenstein. So there you go. If you want to feel out of your place, go and move there for a little while. And where does Australia fit into this whole spectrum? Well, Australia and New Zealand are doing pretty well on a global scale. Brad, no wonder you're here. Because Australia is ranked 23 in the world, and we have a GDP per person of $43,800. New Zealand is ranked 47 and on about 50% less income, Brad. So that gives you a bit of a feel for it. But then the reality kicks in. Where does Nepal fit into that? And that's where the reality is. If we go to the next slide, you find that Nepal is ranked 212 of every country in the world where you can measure this. And the rock bottom is the Republic of Congo. But considering we didn't want to die, we thought Nepal was probably not a bad option. So Nepal is really the poorest country you can find where it's actually pretty safe to go to in the scheme of things. It's also the one that ADRA in Australia, the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, has networks to and could support us in doing something there. And it's also a country that is attempting to lift itself out of its malaise that it's currently in. For those who know a little bit of the Nepal history, they used to have a royal family. And there was a mass shooting that happened and there are a whole heap of conspiracy theories going around about it. But the official line is that one of the royal family members picked up a machine gun and went and shot the majority of the rest of the royal family. And then a communist offshoot, the Maoists, rose up against the royal family, wanting to bring in a democratic system, and one where the villagers could have a say in the community. And they had a 10-year civil war. It only finished 6 years ago. And so they've had this tremendous amount of political unrest. The first thing the government did when the parliament was formed was that they annulled all of the authority of the royal family. So the royal family is now history. It has no influence in the way that the country is now run. It is a democratic system, but it's in its infancy. So corruption is rampant, and political unrest, strikes are frequent. They call them buns over there. And their strikes are different to ours. We have strikes where business goes on, but there's a small group of people that are, usually unionists or, a specific group of people on a specific issue hit the streets. Whereas in Nepal, if a bund is called, everything shuts down. If you decide to hop in your car and drive down the street, your car will be rocked, you'll be ripped out of the car and beaten up. So you don't go anywhere when there's a bund on. But despite all this, they are attempting to lift themselves out of the situation that they're in. And so that is why we chose to go there. And it makes perfect sense, really, when you think about it, that here is a family-orientated church. We have as many kids as we have adults in this church. Go halfway around the world to help in a country that has plenty of young people. And what we were out to do was to go to a small village which was about 40 kilometres out of Kathmandu, took over an hour to get there because of the lack of infrastructure, to a tiny village called Bastol to work in a tiny school called Panchakanya. And that's where we'll head over to Glenn, who will talk about the project itself.
Thanks, Dean. Panchakanya. I'm still struggling trying to say some of the names over there. We needed an interpreter for me to talk to some of the locals as well in English. But we did have an amazing time, and Dean touched on it. I've learned a lot from Dean. I mean, I was going to tell you that 50 Australian dollars gets you 5,000 rupees, which goes a long way. Essentially, you can buy a lot for your Australian dollars over there. We, as Dean said, we went to this small village about 40 kilometres out of town, and we might just start some of the slides, which was basically our basic project was to. This was just at the airport, flying in. and through the streets of Kathmandu. And if you've been to India or Mauritius, I've been to Mauritius, so I know the streets. Like the drivers, they just there's no real rules. I mean, there's lines in the road, but they're there for like a guide. I'm not sure what they're there for, but yeah, traffic pulls out from different angles. People just do U-turns in front of you. There's everything and anything goes over there. This is I'm into the communication, so I was interested in some of those aerial sort of how they go about fixing faults when they have their telephones aren't working or something. It's amazing to see the structures that are over there. If you want to keep flicking through, yeah, this is some of the smaller. Was this in that's Tamil, which is we stayed in a small hotel 1 week in, and we went around, and everybody was trying to flog us different things, anything from tiger balm to these knives, and a few of us came home with these knives. You might have seen them. We had.
Yeah, I'm going to explain some of the acronyms or words that we came up with over the weekend. The Nepalese love their expressions, and tiger balm was the
Maybe
joke.
sit up here, man.
Was the joke?
I think I'm talking.
I'm just miming.
Close my mouth. Stop talking.
Yeah, so tiger balm. How it came about was everyone on the street, man. They're always either selling you something or trying to sell you whatever, and you'll always have this woman or a guy come up to you. You want to buy some tiger balm? Tiger balm, 700, and then you just talk them right down, and you know you could get it at the shops for like 200 rupee. And you just had to play the game, and it was funny. But tiger balm was the funny comment that we always said to each other. You want to buy some tiger balm? But it was mainly for the trackers, because they sell it to the trackers, because it's like deep heat here in Australia. So that's tiger balm.
Okay. This is now we've moved to when we went straight to the Adra. So this is from the rooftop of Adra. Adra have like a 4 or 5 story building in the center of Kathmandu, and yeah, a lot of rooms. And this is their view. They got an amazing view from the rooftop, which we saw about an hour in. They gave us a bit of an introduction to the Nepalese way. This is backing up the Nepalese.
Okay. It's downhill. Like we used to, in the mornings, we started doing some walks every morning at about 6 o'clock, 6:30. And each walk we went on just gave us the most amazing view. The first morning we walked up and just overlooked sort of all the village. Now, when we asked whoever was taking us, the Nepalese guide or whoever the principal that was taking us on the walk, he used to always say, yeah, it's downhill. It's just downhill. Downhill to them means like...
Yeah, it's going this way. It's still going this direction. We're not going this, we're going this. That's downhill.
And with the height, the atmosphere, what's the...
Yeah, the
altitude, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Some of the boys were like I was puffing and panting. And then you'd ask them how far to go. 10 minutes. 10 minutes means maybe half an hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah, and most of us have patience, but I recall one instance where we'd reached this nice viewpoint, and I saw Andrew looked at the guide and he said, how far? And he says 10 minutes, downhill. And Andrew, the guy walked on, and Andrew said a few choice words. And he was the medic. We needed the medic. And I'm thinking, the medic's not going to make it. The medic's not going to make it at the top of this hill. It was quite the things. Yeah, we might move to the next one. Early morning walks back again. Oh, there's a video clip on this one. Yes, This is one of the walks we.
P-A-J or P-A-L.
Well, for someone's name. So that's kind of what we got to wake up to every morning. The weather we had was just awesome. Every day except for the second last day, I think, which God sort of sent a bit of rain just to test our roof that we fitted, which we did find a leak, so I'm glad God did test it.
If we go back to that other slide, it shows there was a mountain range. Like the second walk we went on, we just came across these white-capped mountains, and we have some other video later, but basically just coming up to the top of these hills and seeing just white-capped mountains in the distance. Everest was off to the right, and that was our aim, to at least see Everest. So we pursued it in the clouds. If you want to keep going on the slides. This was another walk. As you can see from Lawrence there, we did lose a lot of water and sweat going up, and yeah, man, just amazing views, and people that live on the side of these hills is just incredible. And I have to say, okay, here we go. So this was a school. So essentially you had like a 2-story section of it here where this lady, one of the teachers, is standing. This is a 2-story part, and the back section, the single story, is the place where we were going to we came to replace the roof, and there's the roof. Now just to give you, and maybe Shane wants to come up as well and talk to this. Essentially our job was to come and do this roof, but the locals were initially said to us, the roof is fine, we just put some of this black stuff and seal the roof.
Yeah, so the original plan was basically to reuse the sheets, but as we took the sheets off, we were putting more holes in that we were replacing. So basically we got to the point where we said our view was to replace the whole roof. So yeah, we were in talks with the locals to basically say we need to put a new roof on it, so that way, yeah, you won't get any leaks and it won't take us 4 days to replace it. We also put a what's the name?
Skylight.
A skylight. In because in wintertime the classrooms have to be closed because of the weather, and in doing that it becomes a dark room, so the kids are actually learning in the dark. So yeah, we thought that a skylight would yeah, definitely help them be able to continue with the classes even in the bad weather as such.
Yeah, and just to take you back a step, I mean, they wanted us to replace 6 of the sheets on the roof, 6 of the sheets, and we had to have a meeting with ADRA, and we call it the United Nations meeting, where we basically told them that we were not just going to replace 6 of the sheets. We didn't come all this way to have a leaky roof when we finished, and it would take us, longer to fix the roof, and we'd still have a bad roof at the end of it. So, even if we did have to pay a bit more.
Okay, this was-erism. Okay, a was-erism.
Just explain what it was-erisms, why was-erisms came about.
is a short one-line statement or that came out of any of us, but we just called it a was-erism because Wazza came up with quite a few of them.
Some of the best.
Warren, came out with some of the best. And you've got to expect that from people in India. And we're sitting, imagine this, we're sitting on the roof looking at this view and whatever, and we all just look at each other and go,
we're in Nepal.
So that's where that one came from.
Yeah, this was inside the classrooms before. So the money we raised initially before we went there basically went to pay for the concrete on the floor, and they actually rendered the walls first, and it was to actually dig the well as well. So our job was put these roof sheets up, and then put the roof on. Now.
Yeah, so basically, as you can see with the roof, they did put a few little beams and what have you in, but the actual plyboards that we were going to apply to the roof were quite heavy. So basically we had to get the Nepalese to order some more wood in so we could put extra struts in, which, yeah, here's the wood that's come on this...
This is a Nepalese ute.
Yeah, this is what they call a ute, the Nepalese version. It's actually a plough that they use in the ploughing season, and then they convert it into a ute to carry, any supplies that they need to. So yeah, basically we had to get some wood to reinforce the roof in so we could put the sheets up.
Now you'd actually find that the women wanted to get in and actually give us a hand. Some of the school teachers, one of the stories, me and Glennis on the roof banging away, and this teacher is nearly jumping on the roof to actually help us to put it all on, and we're like, hang on, it's all right, it's cool. Yeah,
exactly. When he was banging away, I was actually trying to do some work on the roof. Going, what are you doing? You're banging away. So this lady, she's like, she tries to get her foot on the roof, and she's trying to help unscrew. Like, she really intentionally is trying to help us unscrew bolts and do stuff on the roof. It was great to see a teacher who she knew what we came over there to do, and she was just wanting to help all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we had the guys who were underneath the roof while they're on top, so we could see this structure wasn't really sound, so we decided to put steel poles to hold the roof up. That was another object, trying to get those steel poles, which worked out really good too.
Yeah.
Now this Wazirism came from who is the more mature person in our group and tried to keep the decorum, whereas us younger ones were just letting a little bit of nature rip, if you know what I mean, at any time of day, because it was really because of the dal bar. We had our main menu was dal.
The food was great.
Yeah,
what you were trying to say.
Yeah, the food was great. So, yeah, Wazza came up with a little bit of decorum, boys. Like.
Yeah, with the roof, we decided to put a false roof in it to try and give some insulation as well. Jono was the main person behind that, and at one stage I think we sat down and we had to have a counselling session with Jono because he was trying to use the old flat screws because they don't have Phillips head screws in Nepal. You cannot buy them. Trying to drive blade screws with a battery operated screwdriver is just really hard work, and he was just ready to pull his hair out at one stage.
Yeah, we did look intently for Phillips head screws, so we think we went through it pretty much every shop in Kathmandu and the local town looking for these Phillips head screws, but they don't exist over there. They call them minuses. They call these the flathead minuses. That's all they have. So, as Wazza said, the roof sheets were pretty intense.
And their idea of a Bunnings store is like 500 metres long. Each individual shop is a department, and you'll get sheeting here, you'll get paint over there, you'll get screws over there. We have it so good over here.
I remember I had to go down to Bunnings with Argent on the motorbike. We had to pick up 8 4x2 beams that were, how long were they? Nearly 3 metres long. So they spanned the whole width of the road. I'm sitting on the back of the motorbike without a helmet because you just don't wear helmets in Nepal, with 4 of these beams across my legs, and the 10 Ks down this highway, which is just dirt, to bring them back, so that was quite an experience as well.
Okay, this one, you got to imagine we're sitting on the roof. Wazza looks over.
That does not look like a crow. It does not.
He goes, "What kind of bird's that, Arjun?" And Arjun just looks at him and goes, "It's a crow." But just the way Arjun said
It's
it.
just the funniest thing, because we're all just sitting there, and from the back it's black. It does have a different sort of coloured head, but just the way it was, I could not contain myself for a long time. I was actually I couldn't get the words out, but I was trying to say, it does look a bit different than a crow, but I couldn't get the words out. Yeah, you can move on to the next one. Okay, this is the deck. Who's talking about the deck? Yeah, so basically we found on that second floor, wasn't part of it, but oh yeah, so maybe go back a slide to show the actual deck before. So there was a deck, but it doesn't look too bad, but as you walked on those individual little things, it actually was very weak, and some of them even moved. So we decided we were going to rip it.
Yeah, I think the nails that used to hold them had rusted away, and they were just sitting on top of the timber, and every time you stood on one, it sort of, if you got on the end of it, the other end would flick up, and yeah, it was a bit ordinary.
So yeah, we because we had a bit of extra manpower and a bit of time, we put that into our schedule to go and get some sheets of wood and planks and put them in. And the teachers organised had the kids down at another place while we were doing putting the boards on. Okay, Wazza, you want to talk about this one? Oh my God.
It's a sore topic, this one.
Yeah, lovely set of steps. If you can see one of the corners, just see the crack there? Yeah, it wasn't supposed to have that, but Glenn decided it would look a lot better with that after some plain instructions of don't stand on the steps, we've only just put them in. But yeah, Glenn knew better.
Well, there's been him and Joe. We'll just take the steps back. Just before we put the steps down, the first night we got back, Joe, being Italian, and Warren, Joe came back and said, "We got to put some concrete. We got to put some concrete." And it was like, and they were like, concrete steps. We got to put some. Man, about putting the concrete down was his thing. But we're going, okay, we'll do the concrete. But Warren and Joe, to their credit, in the evening when we went off playing a bit of soccer, they spent between about 4 and 6 or 7 and put these concrete steps in, which were awesome. He had to fix them though.
Yeah, we did learn that their cement and our cement are two different mixtures. You've got to put nearly as much cement as sand if you want it to go off. So we sort of did forgive Glenn. Sort of. We're working on it.
Another funny story, in painting, we were painting all these rooms, and because we didn't have radio, we just sung our hearts content. And me and Brad are busy singing away, and I'm painting up high here, painting here. And I said, "Brad, can you do down low?" And I'm painting away and doing them up here, and I wanted Brad to actually paint lower. But what happened was I'm still painting, and as we're singing the song, Brad goes a key lower. And I'm like, no, Brad, paint lower. So yeah, that was pretty cool though. Okay, Wazzarisms. With the Nepalese, they just say it as it is, and sometimes Wazza says it as it is as well, and I have to say it back to them. And yeah, our English and their Nepalese weren't as, how can you say was? What was?
Well, it was hard to understand.
Yeah, well, and then even understanding Glenn, like Arjun would just nod. The Nepalese, this is how they do it. They go, oh yeah, okay.
You
yeah.
ask a question.
It's not yes.
They don't know how to say no.
Or it's not no. It's
so
just
whether they know or not, it's the same answer.
Yes.
So you've got to decipher
yes.
whether they're
Yes.
saying yes or no.
We had one where they had this guy Santos, who was an ADRA employee, and his English was I think that was the comment you made to him before. But he came in and I was saying to him, we need some more roof sheets or we need some more beams. And he goes, yes. I said, okay, so we need 10 more? And he goes, yes. I said, so they'll come tomorrow? We need them here in the morning. We need these 9 sheets tomorrow. Yes. And he goes, yes. And he walks out and I looked at Shane and goes, he has no idea. He's got no idea these sheets, they're not going to turn up. So I said, let's go and get Arjun to explain to someone who can understand us. So that's how it played out. This was just testing the carpet.
No, I was holding the glue down.
There was a seam there. We actually, after we did the sheeting and the painting was done, we actually started on the carpet. We laid the carpets in both the rooms, and that's the boys, Gabe and boys putting it in. The money we raised also went towards the cupboards at the back with the stationery. If you look closely there, Mitzi, you'll see some of your stationery sitting in those cupboards. We also bought extra stationery when we were there, along with the whiteboards. We put up about five was it, whiteboards, and you can see the final result. And there's the pole we put in to help with the structure as well. Outside, you notice there's an awning. So Jono, who's not here, but John was our key man in constructing that. And as you can see, it's essentially, it rains hard there. So having somewhere where the kids can they can stand on Wazza and Joe's steps inside. At least they can, if the school's closed, they've got a place they can actually stand and not get rained on. So we constructed that. That's a sort of a panoramic. It's not on a, it's
before
not
shot.
Yeah, before shot. It's not actually on a corner, so I don't know what happened there. The road is fairly straight. Well, Nepalese straight. Yeah, and that's the after.
It was interesting that we put the bricks down around there to form a bit of an area where the kids could sort of get out of the dirt before they got into the classrooms. And I guess some of us were wondering how long they would last there for. But Dean came up with quite a good comment when the principal went and got a bag of sand and tipped it out on it and started to spread it around. So we got the impression that, he wanted them there for the long term. So we felt a lot more comfortable when we left, thinking that a lot of the stuff we put there is definitely going to stay there.
Okay, Joe, you want to comment on the well?
Okay, the well. So a lot of the funds that we raised went to a contractor who came and started digging the well. They dug that well by hand and pick and shovel, so it's a lot of work for them. It was about 3 metres down. As you can, I just want to point out something in this slide as well. I don't know if you can see it, but just about here, there's a natural spring, and that's where the water's coming from. So it's just slowly seeping out into the well, and then they lowered those concrete rings, about 30 of them, stacked up all the way up to the top. The other thing that our funds paid for was the actual piping that went from the well, which was about 120 metres from the school. So we also had to get electricity to the well, which was a major exercise. And initially with the electricity, we actually started feeding the wire from... so you can imagine this is already dug and it's already underground, and you've got pipes are all in, and you've got rice growing on top of them. So to feed the wire 120 metres from the school all the way to the well was a big effort. And actually we couldn't do it that way, so we actually had to go from the well to the school, which was a much easier way of doing it.
Downhill,
yeah. Through the rice paddies. And even then it was a little bit difficult because we actually had to, at the beginning of the rice paddy, we actually had to dig down to where the pipe was and pull out the cable. So, and then feed it through again, and then rejoin the pipe, make sure it was all sealed. It was one continuous length of electrical cable because with rice paddies they're generally wet, and you don't want to mix electricity with water. If we just go back that slide, that's actually a little clip. So if you can just press that, you can see the well had an electric pump which was submerged in the well, and a manual pump for the locals to use. And it was Dean testing it out, and Zach had to approve it.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning as well that the actual in that area, this is the only well in that area. So we were pumping it to the school. The school had a couple of 500-litre tanks that gravity fed down to the toilet, so the kids could actually wash themselves. At the moment, they've got 2 little cubicles that I think we'll see a bit later.
The next couple of slides.
But the community now can actually go to those to that pump and manually pump their water on that slab and actually fill their buckets of water, where normally they'd be going down to the stream and doing it from the stream.
Okay, the nicknames that were given. The Nepalese, in their language, they can't really say Z properly, so it's a Z. Like, so Arjun would always call Zach or Zachary Jack. And we're wondering, who's Jack? All the way along until we worked out it was Zach, and then that's been his name the whole way. So if we start calling Zach Jack, you'll know why. Same with Zenon, Zenon. They just couldn't get it, so it was Jen, come here, Jen, come here. So, and the principal, he's the funniest character. I think because he was small, it was lucky. Because, sorry, Gabriel, on the first day, the principal looks at him and goes, "You're a very fat man." Gabe just looked at him, looked at all of us, and we're thinking, hang on, Gabe, he's only small, leave him alone. But they just say it as it is, and I'm like, you don't say that. But then, yeah. So then, in the end, it became Gabe was Fat Man 1, and then the next day, Brad got called Fat Man by the principal as well. So we had Fat Man 1, Fat Man 2. So that's just how we remember each other. But yeah, the principal was a character. And kids, if you ever complain about going to the toilet, look at this toilet. Imagine going to the toilet there every day.
With no water.
With no water.
And that's a clean one.
Yeah, that's a very clean one. So, yeah, it's a squat toilet. And, yeah, I used it once, and once was enough for me. But, yeah, I say we have it so well over in Western countries.
And they're the 2 water tanks that are on top of the concrete roof of the school, or part of the school. And the water is pumped 120 metres away. And this is the wash-up room, which is before they started the work on it. And that's what it looked like afterwards. All nicely tiled, plumbed, and gravity fed from the 2 tanks up the top, so the kids can at least wash their hands, have some drinking water. And there's Daniel actually just making sure the
finishing the tiling, weren't you, Daniel?
So the kids, who wants to talk about the kids?
I think Amos and you're next.
Okay, yeah, so the kids at the school, there was 35 kids there. They ranged from year 1 to year 6. And they were beautiful. And what I gathered from them is they just wanted us to spend time with them, just to play with them. That was an amazing thing. Like, so the first day we got out a couple of balls and we're just playing little games like up and over, and they thought it was amazing. And they just wanted to be held. They just wanted to be picked up. And they knew a little bit of English, so they might say hello sir and then run away, or that's it. So you say hello back and they just laugh and giggle and they're gone. And every morning they'd come and give us flowers that they've picked and say hello, which was amazing. And I think each one of the guys had a certain kid that would come up to them every morning and say hello and just hold your hand. So you're trying to do some work and they just want to hold your hand and be with you. And it was amazing. So that's when we're giving them the pencil cases each. And honestly, they didn't know what we were giving them. They didn't have a clue. Like, they got all this stuff. They were just lined up in a line on each side, and we gave 2 bags each to 2 kids. And they didn't know. They're trying to look at it. But once they opened them up inside the classrooms and they saw all these pens and the books and everything we gave them, because before they had nothing. They didn't have any paper to write on. Maybe some had a little pencil like this they kept in their top pocket of their crumpled up uniform that they had. And for them to get all this, I think they were just totally overwhelmed. But I think also that taking photos of them as well, they love that. You'd take a photo with them and they'd want to have a look and they'd want another photo, and honestly they just wanted you to play with them. And for kids that had nothing, they were just so happy just to have just the attention, because these kids here are the lowest class, it's just like kids of that village, and that means that the families have nothing. So this is a government school, no money's put towards them, no one really cares about them. So for these kids to have us come along and show that they have value, I think was just amazing for them. I think their parents, they don't really have land, they just work on the land of the rice fields or the cornfields. And it was just amazing, like these kids just sit on these dirt floors and they're just happy to have some paper to write on, and the teachers don't have much to give them in the materials and those types of things, but the passion from the teachers that were coming along was just amazing as well. And I think what all the guys raised with the money and the books and everything will really help them. I think what we gave that village was a massive impact, in the sense of these lower class kids. Maybe one might go to university, and that's a big thing, but a lot of them will learn a bit more, a little bit more reading, a little bit more writing, and it will just help them, I guess, with their kids and just getting better and understanding the importance of the education. This is the guest house where we stay. Do you want me to talk about the kids a bit more? Or? Oh, yeah. All right, so we stayed at this house just down the road from the school, so it was about 3-4 minute walk, which was great. It was great staying in the actual village, because we got to interact with the community. I think that's what a lot of the guys wanted to do. We had the option of going back to Kathmandu every night, and the guys said no. Why do that for? Just to go there, build and leave. You're not adding to the community. We went there to learn about the cultures and everything as well. So that's a view from is that the view from one of the top of the roof?
Yeah, rooftop where we had our dinners and breakfast and prayer and everything up there. It was awesome.
Yeah, so imagine that. Every morning you walk upstairs and you just got this, come out of this room, out of the doorway, and just this picturesque view of mountains and green and houses and birds singing and fresh air. It was just amazing. This is good.
Here we have another classic Wazzerism. Joey and I said right from the beginning, months before, we both snore, we're bunking together. When we get there, it was jump in, first room, it's open, whoever's in is in. So we thought, yeah, we're the oldest here, we'll get Waz. So Waz comes in with us, and first night, I kick off snoring, Joey kicks off snoring, Warren's there, and all of a sudden we're in a dazed, totally asleep. And this is boys! I'm jumping, flying out of our beds. What's going on? You know, we're under attack. And it was because of our snoring. Yeah, it was didn't sleep too well over the entire trip, but it got a little progressively better. But
Smashed, I got.
yeah.
Get 2 hours
But, yeah, that was one of our Wazarisms.
So yeah, that's again from our rooftop. So as you can see, the weather was magic. That's our beautiful base breakfast. Oh, who took that picture? This is our roofs and our mozzie nets, because the mosquitoes actually weren't too bad, but the snoring was all right, and the mosquitoes.
So these are concrete floors, and like there's a tiny mat for it that at the end I really felt like the mat was as hard as the concrete. And all the houses are kind of half completed. So this is the stairwell. So it's just rough concrete going up and down all the stairs. And there was no railings or anything like that. But the majority of the houses are built like that. You know, they're always a work in progress. Also, what they do is they'll build one level and they'll keep the pylons and the steel coming out to build the next level, which is usually for the next, for the son or daughter and their family who will live on there, because land's really expensive in Nepal. Like, we thought it'd be cheap, but to buy some land, I think it was $350,000. And like, for what? You know, just this side of a mountain and this dilapidated house that's the other thing we didn't say. We got into Nepal and we were at the ADRA building, and they were giving us the debrief on culture and what to expect and the people and stuff. And they said, and as you know, you were told about the earthquakes in Nepal. We were like, what? We're talking about earthquakes. And supposedly there's a lot of earthquakes. And these houses... Yeah, they had a big one a few years back, and a lot of people died. It wasn't from the earthquake; it was from the houses that are built, because the materials there are terrible. Like the bricks they use, you could break in your hand even. So just imagine a size 6 earthquake of a 5-story building built with these bricks and this sandy cement, and they fall and they kill people.
Yeah, they actually use big boulders and big pieces of timber just to hold the roof down. Like, they don't use fixture screws or things like that. So you imagine if an earthquake moves, the boulders come through the thin tin that they've got. Yeah. Not good.
And in Kathmandu, they are like 6 stories high, compacted together. So unfortunately, a major one they're expecting quite soon, and they're thinking 7 or 8. So there's actually a project happening now. I think it's Japan and Nepal are putting together $150 million to secure up a lot of these buildings, so you don't have another Haiti when it comes along.
This is where Wazarisms were sort of born. Zenon and I, after work one afternoon, Zenon comes up and says, they're going to milk some cows. Do you want to come along? I said, yeah, all right. So we walk along, we meet some of the locals, the local kids, and we're walking past the maize fields, and there's 2 women working in the fields, and the women over there do all the work. They carry the big bags on their backs, they carry all the bricks, and the men just hang around and watch. And there's these 2 women crouched down, and they're eating something. They're cutting up this big green piece of fruit. And I look at it, I wonder what that is. And I said to one of the young boys, I said, so what's that interesting looking fruit they're eating? And he just turns around and goes, cucumber. Yeah, okay.
Some of the local kids. This is our outdoor shower / water supply / bathing facility, and the view from that is pretty good actually. So we put on a good show. We bonded.
Yeah. So
some of us more than others.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, there's 15 guys. There's one shower, and there's the spring. So some of the guys went down to the spring, and so everybody's down to their jocks out in the middle of the open, just washing themselves. And I think some of the stories are one of the guys is washing themselves underneath this freezing cold water, and he looks up and there's an old lady with a pan of water that she wants to get for her house. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Yeah, don't mind me in my underwear, so go for it.
So yeah, Sabbath in Nepal we spent at Marilyn's house, the ADRA coordinator and her husband. So this was sort of a United Nations Sabbath. We had some Americans, we had some Canadians, I think we had some Filipino. Oh, sorry, yeah, if you don't know, that was Marilyn in the black. So I'll do some... Yeah, it was a pretty good Sabbath, all under a tarp.
Leon got up and sung to represent MECC for us, which was really good. I thought that was a really big thing to do, all these people. And he got up and sung, so it was really good. It was
funny. My expectation, I thought I'd plug my phone or my MP3 into a sound system to get the music. And I got there and there's just a guitar and that's it. And I'm like, oh no, what do I do? So cut out a bottle, like the end of a bottle, and hooked it up to the speaker of my phone. And it was good because it was silence and made it into a little bit louder. But yeah, it was a good experience, just worshipping with other people, just the way they do it.
This is a HIV orphanage that we went to. So Marilyn, who is part of ADRA, and her husband Simon, who's the coordinator of ADRA over in Nepal, has this side project because ADRA can't do anything officially with orphanages. They're only for relief and development. It's one of their rules. And so Marilyn somehow got connected up with this AIDS orphanage, who is run by this guy here. What was his name? I wasn't too sure. Now this guy is 26 years old. He just got in contact with another lady who was looking after kids with AIDS and just said, that's what I want to do. And he got himself into so much debt looking after these 10 kids. It was like 50 lakh. Now, I don't know what lakh is, but it sounds like a lot. So he had to sell his parents' house and got like 25 lakh for that. And he owed this money to a loan shark. And the loan shark said, all right, yeah, that's fine, we'll just call it even. So they're renting this place here, which has 10 kids with AIDS orphanage. So their parents have died and their uncles and aunts don't want them. AIDS in Nepal is taboo. If you have AIDS in Nepal, you got a death sentence.
There was that huge stigma back in Australia in the 80s with HIV, and unfortunately that hysteria is still in Nepal. These children are ostracised. They're not allowed to go to school there. Marilyn was trying to find another building because they were having to leave that, and every time she says, these children have HIV, then the landlord will say no. So there's a huge stigma over there. The children weren't allowed to go to school either. And it was quite sad in that respect that there was still that stigma associated with HIV over there, because we all know, HIV is just another condition, like alopecia, like, Hep C, it's just one of these things, unfortunately, that we have. But these children were cared for by this gentleman, and he was given everything to them. As Amos was saying, all of the children had HIV, and all of their parents had passed away from the condition as well.
Yeah, so if you imagine it, Kathmandu's busy, we just get driven down this main road, people flying everywhere, we park, and then we go down this little alleyway, another little alleyway, dark little alleyways, and pop up, and there's this house where these kids are living, and they got these things called home parents. So there's a mum and dad, and they do all the teaching for them in there. They do all the cooking, and there's this squalor kind of area that these kids are living in. And with the kids, one only had full-blown AIDS, and she probably won't live till next year. Then you have the other kids with different types of HEP. They were beautiful kids though, and just giving them marbles, they loved it. So a lot of the guys interacted with them, and that's what they wanted, because you've got to imagine these kids weren't touched by anybody else. Nobody would pick them up. No one would hold them. Only the house mum and dad. And while we were there, like a week beforehand, an article got written by a Westerner and put into the Nepalese newspaper about condemning the government about how they've just let these kids go. They don't care about them, don't support them, and these are Nepalese people, these are Nepalese kids, and you are treating them like this. And like giving money by a Nepalese person to a lower class is unheard of. And while we were there, these two families came, and they gave them all this rice and all this stuff. And Marilyn, she said she's lived there for nearly 2 years. She's never seen anything like it. It's unheard of for that to happen. And we got talking to these people, and probably the only reason why they did this is because they were educated. One had a government job and another one was a lecturer. So it just kind of shows what education does, and them having a bit more money showing to these kids. She was a beautiful little girl. They got up and did some talks and dance for us as well, which was amazing. But just giving them a soccer ball was amazing.
And just to a lot of us, we're all just so moved by the whole orphanage situation, and we ended up giving them some money. And just to give you ladies, just to show you the calibre of the guys that you have that came over on the trip, there are a couple of guys that just took the opportunity. We were taking up the classrooms, and there are a couple of guys that just took a little bit of money out and just put a little bit of money in each of their pencil cases. And no one knew about it. They weren't asked to do it. The boys just decided to do it, and it was just so the kids will get a little surprise the next day when they actually open up. And their whiteboard in the classroom is probably, it's about that size. That's the size of their whiteboard for a classroom there. It's pretty moving, and they're actually going to have to move out of the place that they're living in as well. In terms of the schools, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the schools there. And at Panchakanya, the school that we worked at, it had one principal, 5 teachers, and a teacher's aide, a Didi they called her. So, whereas the good thing about that is it's highly staffed with 35 kids, which is great. I think over here, if we had 35 students, we'd be lucky to have 2 teachers, with the principal included in that. So that kind of thing is a good thing, in saying that the teachers weren't always in the classroom. But the great thing about it was that the teacher, Rupa was her name, who helped the guys up on the roof. She was the one that could speak the most English out of the teachers, and she was just absolutely moved by what we were doing there. And she would come in and she'd help the guys. She'd help us hammer. She'd help us paint. She was mixing concrete. She even helped some of the guys because they had a cut on their hand, so she helped put a band-aid. She was a medic for them. You know, she just absolutely loved what we were doing, and you could see every time that she came in, her eyes would well up with tears, and that was pretty incredible. But there's 35 kids, and every single one of those kids is sponsored by ADRA in Korea. All those 35 kids are sponsored, and to sponsor a kid over there is about $85 a day, $85 a year, sorry. 85 Australian dollars goes towards, and it pays for everything. It pays for their school uniform, it pays for all of their resources that they need, and their school fees as well. So this is us opening the school at the end of the project, and you can see the plaque that was there as well. And basically, there's obviously the difference, just like there is over here, the stigma between private schools and public schools, it's the same over there as well. There is a stigma as well about the private and the public schools and the different system there. But to many of you ladies, and we just can't thank you ladies and the team that worked so hard in getting the packs, with working with the kids, and getting those packs to the kids. Seeing those kids, their faces just brighten up when they were given each a pencil case which had a pad in it for them to write on, and just oodles and oodles of pens and pencils for them to work on and to write with. We had bubbles as well that were brought in, and those bubbles were just an absolute ripper. They just loved blowing those bubbles. They could just blow them all day, as well as some little, what do you call the things that you blow and make noise? Party, yeah. So those kind of things, the kids just absolutely love it. Rulers, erasers, some of them had never had one, or been able to work on it before. In the classrooms, you would see that every crevice a teacher would use to put a textbook, or it might be their chalk, or it might be a hole in the wall, and that might be where they put the duster and some of their pens. They haven't got anything. So in the pictures that you saw, they had the cabinets and everything in it. That was basically pretty much filled with resources that your support helped fill, which they were just ecstatic about. And there was also a school up on a hill that we went up and played. There was a private school, or it was a public school as well, but it went from kindergarten through to year 10. And their school system, their school day starts at 10 a.m. and finishes at about 3:30. I spoke to one boy when we were playing soccer. He walks 2 hours to get to school each day. So, and it's not obviously straight roads like we have here. It's those mountain ranges. So he walks for 2 hours to get there in the morning, 2 hours to get back. So we have it very well here, and it's just your heart kind of goes out to them in many areas. The teaching resources that we help supply them as well. I spent some time personally with Rupert and teaching the other teachers as well, just kind of working through, because we gave little rubbers, little stamps and things like that they could actually use as prizes. They never thought of giving kids a prize or a sticker when they actually when the kid had done some good work. So just little things like that just brightened their day and just worked really well. Do you guys want to talk about the sport equipment?
Yeah, the sporting equipment, it was pretty good because we had this school we were doing the major project at, but then we had four other schools in the region that we also put a bundle of sporting equipment like volleyball, soccer balls, volleyball net, and other bits and pieces that we gave to these other schools because we felt, you can't really just do one area, one school, and everyone would just come down and nick all their stuff, pretty much, I reckon, or being favourites. So yeah, it was really good. And then in the afternoon, we struck up a bit of a friendship with the owner of our guest house, their son, Suresh, and he was a keen soccer player. And so in the afternoon, after we finished work, we got all the young guys together. It's the first time I've ever played soccer on a semicircle field.
So this field's up high where the high school is, this private school. So you got the square of the building, and then there's some land, but off the side of the edge it just dropped down and then went to another area like cornfields and stuff. So you couldn't play soccer straight because it'd just kick it off and you'd never see the ball again. So what they did, they made it into a U. So at each side of the building is where the goalpost is, and there was like some wall or some mud height piles. So you'd play straight and then you'd turn and you'd kick. So you'd be playing soccer on a U shape. So that was something to get used to. And that ground was hard, but there was some parts was grass and other parts was like rock and dirt and stones. And these kids are playing barefoot against us. It was Australia versus New Zealand versus Nepal. And yeah, I was amazed about these kids just running around barefoot, kicking this soccer ball. It was crazy.
It was good.
All right, as you can see, we're all very passionate about what's happened, and that pretty much wraps up the project. The people were just so appreciative. They all did up little certificates for us, which we got caught in monsoon rain, so everyone threw their certificates my way because I had a plastic bag to try and save them with. But it was, I think also passed around was the little token of love. I mean, obviously they don't have much money, so they try and, find ways to thank us as best they could. And so yeah, they did those up for us as well. And it's also, we're hoping to be able to source it back from Nepal because we accidentally left it behind. But there's a great certificate for the church as well that hopefully we can get back here and put up on a wall somewhere. You heard about the teachers, about how passionate they were there, and particularly about Rupa, which she did show in a few photos. We didn't really point her out. But she wrote us a card, and this is a little bit of a surprise because I don't think the MECC guys have read this card. So, all right, so here you go. From Rupa Kunwar to the MECC men team. Respected MECC men, thanks for your help and cooperation in our school. Our school was getting worse, but you came as a God and helped us. Our children and we in the school committee are very thankful to your team. Those poor children are unable to read like this and have such materials without you. Your contribution is the one which always remains in our mind and heart. We will never forget you guys. By seeing those smiles on the children's face, we are very happy. The smile is brought by you only, so I hope this program will continue in the future also. We are very satisfied by your work. Both we and children enjoyed your company. The 10 days passed so fast with you guys. Hope these 10 days were very enjoyable for you guys also. May your life... Now obviously there's some Nepalese saying here that doesn't quite fit with the translation too well, but may your life get in every step, and hope your coming days will be always good. Always smile, Rupa and the teachers of Panchakanya Primary School. So, little message from Rupa. Just to finish up, at the end of the day, we like to do our own stuff, and it's been such a blessing for the MECC team to be able to serve. And in 2 Peter, I just want to share a quick Bible passage with you. And if you've got your Bible, follow it along for yourself. It'll just be a moment. In 2 Peter, in chapter 1 and verses 3 to 8, I'll read it out for you. And it says, "We have everything we need to live a life that pleases God. It was all given to us by God's own power when we learned that He had invited us to share in His wonderful goodness. God made great and marvellous promises so that His nature will become part of us. Then we could escape our evil desires and the corrupt influence of this world. Do your best to improve your faith. You can do this by adding goodness, understanding, self-control, patience, devotion to God, concern for others, and love. If you keep growing in this way, it will show that what you know about our Lord Jesus Christ has made your lives useful and meaningful." And when I look at that text, I pretty much could break up everything into two components for me. One of that was to be able to have God's attention, to actually make sure you're seeking God in your life, keeping in connection about what he wants you to be like, to be patient, to have self-control, goodness. And then out of that can come the intention about the action part of it, about having concern for others and love. And so I just want to thank everyone here for your contribution in support, be it sending a partner away for a while, being separated, having that time away from your kids, providing financial support for the fundraising. It's just so appreciated. It's been life. I think it wouldn't be going too far to say that it's been quite a life-changing experience for many of the guys on the trip. And all I can say is that service comes in many parts. This is a very grand thing that's happened, that can happen maybe once in your life, maybe if you're very fortunate, a couple of times in your life. But the service that God's asking for is those little daily things. Everything from, running a kids club here, which is another event, but it can be a little daily thing like, helping someone cross a road, a smile at the right time, offering to pray for someone. The service takes on those little things. And I think that the magic in the service is that we're not thinking about ourselves. We're actually concentrating on what someone else, their space that they're in, what their situation is. And when we stop thinking about ourselves, we find ourselves blessed because we're in a more positive space. Certainly after the experience of being in Nepal, simple things like coming back home, I was so excited to turn a tap of water on. Oh, wow. I could actually put a glass under that water and I could drink it and I won't get sick. That is so exciting. To actually go and have a hot shower. Our guest house had a shower. Wow. Didn't have hot water though. Simple things like that. I remember Daniel once saying on the trip that blessings take on a totally different perspective when you get outside of your comfort zone. And it's true. All the things that God gives us that we are provided with every single day, you can go somewhere else and those things are a gift and a miracle if they ever occur, such as clean water, such as electricity. Most of the time we didn't have electricity where we were. They just do not have enough infrastructure to be able to provide it consistently. So, once again, thank you and for your support of the MECC team. And please keep 2 Peter and that scripture message in your heart, because we've all been called to do our little bit, whatever it is, in service. I'll finish up for prayer. After the prayer, there is a video that we'll run, but we'll run it through, it'll just loop over. So if you ever want to sit in here when you're having lunch or whatever, you can check it out, because it runs for about 15 minutes. So we'll finish up and then that can just be running later. There is lunch. Please stay for that. If you've got any questions, you probably do. Anyone in Khaki is a good person to go and talk to about the trip. So let's just bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you, Lord, for the fact that we can all come together now and worship you, and we just recognise that all of the blessings that come in our lives comes from you, and we thank you for that. We thank you, Lord, that we've been blessed so abundantly here that we can actually go somewhere else and do some good stuff, and that even still through that experience we feel that we've been more blessed than even the locals through this experience. And so, Lord, we just recognise that everything that we have comes from you. And, Lord, please help us to have our eyes opened to the circumstances in the rest of the world, and even those people just around us that are in a time of need or feeling down. Please help us to be in a better place to be able to serve. We say this in your precious name. Amen.
In the distance. Alright boys, we're nearly there. It's another 500 miles to go.
It's about another 250 miles and we'll be at the summit. Little village down there we come from. Always making the way up. Hard to capture this.
Very beautiful place apparently. Who is P-A-L?
Paulo, he was here. We left him down there.
Paulo and Santos?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi everybody, this is the rice paddy we're in the middle of, and the school, as you can see, is just up there where all the guys are, and we're just walking
The trench.
to the other side, to where the well has been dug, where the guys are over there.
We'll walk over to the well.
So we're going to go check that out now. And there's Gabriel coming.
He's just collecting some rice. Okay, let's check it out. So they've dug the trench first, across the vice, but now we've got to put things in. So let's.
This is the well that the guys have been digging, and yesterday they spent all day yesterday putting in the concrete rings, and over the next few days we're going to put a pump in it and connect it all up.
He had made arrangement to lay down the water pipe as well as the electricity pipe underground straight. Again, the principal of the school, he made the arrangement with the community and got the approval from them to lay down the pipe from here. And this well is deep around 30 to 32 feet. And he had made arrangement with the technician, Lakshman Pandit.
Will this well service?
community people are then you got to फाइदा लिन सक्छन् कि यस हो यो छ नि विस्तारमा जुम्मै काम गर्न आउँछन् धेरै जना होला नि कति
हामी चाहिँ यो 25 दूरीको यो यो धान बाली लगाउने बेला अन्तको पानी हिलो हुन्छ अब यो पानी
Can we thank this young man here for the hard work he did? He also helped us with some of our work over here. We appreciate that.
Is he the painter?
Boys in action. Skylight. Quick footage. There's for the well. Roof sheets have arrived. Finally. Roof sheets are here. Daniel's hard at it, as you can see.
Yeah, and there's
bricks.
Bricks? You got bricks even? Oh, mate. It's all hard.
These boys are just mixing up some.
We're mixing up lunch.
Lunch? You having there, boys?
How do you like it?
Old school.
White and
They
runny?
call it. This is the white mortar for the walls, whitewashing. So, Joe, you get Andrew onto some work. He gets home. Who says he can't do anything? Look at him. He's going hard. He's going hard. Okay.
Take a picture.
Yeah.
My camera when you finish.
This is getting quite thick.
Alright, the boys are unloading the roof sheets. Daniel supervising.
More gloves around?
Where are they putting them, Leon? Where do they want to stick them? Down inside.
Small. They might all be the same size, but I'm not sure.
Some of us were working, eh? While others were just playing around.
No, at the shops. Get it right. At the shops playing.
Here we go, the boys did the step. Boys did the step last night. They're a bit confused. It's a bit of a big step for the kids. But we'll get there.
Did you see it here yesterday?
Boys have finished the roof. Looking good so far. Yeah.
There you go.
Leon's finishing off his little thing there. It's coming together, little skylight. Nice work. School room 1. School room 2.
Girls turn centre.
One to each. One to each job. So you give 27 right now.
27.
If you
We'll give it to the 27.
there is around 4-5 students have an attendance today, and we will keep that for the next week. We will do that. I have to send them, or you go there? We'll go to them. Or you can make a line also. Yeah, just pass it in. Or just, oh no. Oh, we'll go to them, man. Yeah, sure.
नमस्ते गराइस
नमस्ते गराई
नमस्ते नमस्ते
Just hold on like that. Yeah, like. You there, Nanu? Answer. Yeah, great. I know.
Andrew.
You can open, yeah. In the room, I think they will get messy here. Or you will go and spend time in the room with everything in the room and off. Like a 5-10 minutes. एकछिन रुममा गइसकेपछि 5-10 खोलेर देखाएर सिकाउने विद्यार्थीसँग बाबु एकछिन है
Daniel, this way.
This way.
This way.
This is here last.
Namaste.
Excellent. Can you hold it? Yeah, that's good. Nani? No. अब तपाईहरु सर मिस
Say something? Yeah. Okay, because I'm let him talk. But this is lots of things, resources for you to teach. There's little rubbers in here that you can give to students when they do very well in class, that you can give a prize.
That is, you mean the many things or just
many.
Okay.
All right. So many things like this that they can give to students when they do very well. You can use marbles in here to use for counting, for maths, or for games. Scissors, to help with cutting. And there's many things in here that you can use for.
This is for principal, right?
Yeah.
For all the teachers. Sir, same explaining that what we provide for the teachers, same things, and with the same goes with same as with the principal. Yes. All right. यो चाहिँ जुन हजुरहरूलाई दिएको सामान छ यो सामानहरू चाहिँ हजुरहरूले कुन उसमा उपयोग गर्नु होला भन्ने कुन कुरामा उपयोग गर्ने भनेर दिनु भएको छ भनेदेखि यो जुन हजुरहरूको विद्यार्थीहरू छन् त्यो विद्यार्थीहरूलाई चाहिँ हजुरले पढाउँदाखेरि केही सिकाउँदाखेरि टिचिङ गर्दाखेरि उनीहरूले कसले राम्रो गर्छ उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ तपाईहरुले आफ्नो आफ्नो क्लास खोलेर आफूले चाहिँ प्राइजको रूपमा दिने के जस्तो अब राम्रो कसले गर्यो एउटा पेन दिने अब त्यहाँ थुप्रै चिजहरू छ हैन त्यसमा सिकाउने इन्स्ट्रुमेन्टहरू पनि छ हैन त्यो जस्तो अब त्यहाँ जुन हामीले यो बुच्चा मार्बल भन्नुमा बुच्चा हामीले यहाँ चाहिँ यसरी त्यसलाई काउन्टिङको रूपमा लिएको छ हैन त्यसलाई चाहिँ अब गर्न सिकाउने काउन्ट गर्न सिकाउने हैन मस्ते तपाईलाई ठुलो हुन्छ उपयोग हुन्छ हैन so see please for the play groups and most useful for our to do that all so yeah this one as well and this one again यो चाहिँ नि के हो भनौँ न यो भित्रपट्टि एउटा कार्ड छ है त्यो कार्डमा चाहिँ खाली छ अहिले हैन अनि यो चाहिँ तपाईहरुको जति पनि स्टुडेन्टहरु छन् उनीहरु सबैको लागि एउटा एउटा चाहिँ यो चाहिँ दिनुहुन्छ उहाँले उनीहरुलाई अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ उनीहरुले के आफ्नो के कुरा लेख्ने ड्राइङ गर्ने चित्र बनाउने आफ्नो कुराहरु लेख्ने हैन उपहार स्वरूप उहाँहरुलाई दिने किनभने उहाँहरु पनि त्यहाँको टिचर हो उहाँहरुको पनि स्कुल छ बच्चाहरु स्टुडेन्ट छन् र यो त्यहाँको बच्चाले पठाएको उनीहरुलाई त्यहाँको बच्चाले हाम्रो यहाँको बच्चाहरुको मनोभावना बुझ्न के गर्छन् कसो कतिको गर्छन् भनेर त्यसको लागि पठाएको उसको नाम सहितको तपाईहरुले यसमा उपलब्ध गराइदिनुहुन्छ यसमा नाम जस जुन विद्यार्थीले यो युज गर्छ जसले ड्राइङ गर्छ जसले लेख्छ सबैलाई है जस्तो उले जानेको छ जे उले गर्छ whatever the kids know how to write what they drawing just finish draw pictures mostly picture बनाइदिनु होला है त्यो गरेर अनि विद्यार्थीको नाम सहित अनि यो हामीलाई जानु भन्दा अगाडि उपलब्ध गराइदिनु
Show them this one. So give them an example one. Sure, like this.
I leave it to you.
Yeah. And it's also got a little
त्यसपछि त्यो गरिसकेपछि इमिडिएटली यसलाई चाहिँ खाममा हालेर यो स्टिकर हो यसले चाहिँ खामबन्दी है त सबै खाममा अनि बाहिर पनि विद्यार्थीको नाम लेख्दिनु
we take it back.
अनि उहाँहरूले लिएर जानुहुन्छ उहाँहरूको विद्यार्थीहरूलाई देखाउनुहुन्छ है सर
So who will give this one to the principal?
Yeah, I think we should just give anyone all together and they will do that.
We'll confirm the names.
Did you explain about this?
Oh, yes, sure. Please explain the problem first.
हार्दिक अनुरोध गर्दछु Give big hand, give big hand.
Official opening.
Okay.
Sorry.
बाबु तिमी अगाडि नजाऊ त राजा
म यस विद्यालयका कुमार कार्कीज्यू तथा मालिन ट्रस्टका भोलिन्टियर टिमका ड्यानियलज्यूलाई चाहिँ नि यो तानेर उद्घाटन गरिदिनु हुन हार्दिक अनुरोध गर्दछु
Okay, Daniel, just 1, 2, 3. Go. Pull it.
Pull it the other way.
No, you don't pull it. Don't pull.
Keep big hand. Keep big hand. That's great. No, not time for this. We have wasted so much.
He's my friend.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's go to the inside room, everyone, please.
Shoes, people.
Shoes out.
Shoes out and go inside. Oh yeah.